Hi there, and welcome on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, folks, I hope you're having a fantastic day and an even better week. Still coming off a little bit of my cold, so sorry if I sound a little froggy or a little stuffy. Today's going to be a short video. I'm going to want to hit on a couple few points, and it's going to be about all hands. Okay, Steve, what do you mean by all hands? Well, so depending on who you are, what kind of operation you have, whether it's a product or service, this will probably be leaning more on the product side, but not necessarily, right? Because there's also services and things we can do. But this would also apply to all hands. Well, let's ask ourselves, when would everybody's, because all hands essentially is everyone's help, right? We need as many hands as possible to get something done. So where do you think some of the big crunch points are? And I'm not to say that anywhere can be a crunch point, pinch point, crunch point, whatever you want to call it, in an operation. A lot of times, if you think about all the energy and time that's put into preparing a product, creating a product, and then it sets. QA does maybe an inspection, etc., and then a scant few are responsible for, say, packaging and shipping. Well, there's timing usually involved, and depending on how much volume you have to ship, this is where you can run into some hiccups, right? Because it could be that something doesn't ship today, when it needed to go out today, and so it doesn't ship till the next day because it wasn't prepared for shipment, right? So that's one easy example that you can pull off and say, okay, well, ask yourself, where is the non-value add portion of your team, your quality, your engineering departments, others, support staff potentially, right? Obviously, we want to make sure that people are safe and that they're trained in the tasks that they're going to help out in, right? That's the other piece of this. But this is part of that preparation, right? Proper prior planning prevents poor performance, right? Notice how I clean that up. Anyway, but you can have some of those folks do packaging and prep for shipment, right? So that you meet your on-time delivery. Because remember, we're customer driven, right? We're here to serve our customers, and everything is driven toward that. So much so, why would we drop the ball after we've worked so hard? I've seen production teams and others, even engineers and some, non-value add portions of the team jump in to help during the process just for something to sit an extra day, in kind of a holding to ship, right? It's actually quite ridiculous when you think about all the effort and energy that goes into everything that happens. Now, oftentimes what can happen is these things occur this way because something maybe went awry. Maybe you had a quality issue you had to fix, or there was something, right? Maybe you had a late start on production because of some key materials or something that didn't get to you on time, which we know happens often, and is a challenge. So why would you're put up against the wall to begin with? Why would you let it sit and just kind of sit around and wait? I've seen it where product and production lines, something was set off to the side, right? And this is a faux pas, but was set off to the side and it should have kept moving through the process, but it wasn't, traceability fell through, right? And it wasn't discovered. So a lot of times you have personnel who are, tracking the flow of the products and so forth. And if you lose sight of these things, you can fall behind, right? So these are some easy areas, of course, but not just with shipping. It could be startups, right? It could be if the team needs help with some of the startups. It might be that your quality, say your early shift quality folks actually help out, or maintenance, right? Help out with the startups to get things going. right? Well, that's not my job kind of thing. Really, folks? Sometimes there's an all hands, situations are required. You just adapt, right? Why would we? It's kind of silly when you think about it. We're not here for our own benefit. We're here to serve our customers. The byproduct of that ends up being that we become served, right? And that's where the value exchange, but we can't get it twisted. The value exchange isn't, well, I receive and then they'll get what they get. No, that's not how it works, folks. You serve the customer, and the result of that is the completion of that loop of the value exchange. That being said, you could also say, if it's a service oriented situation where people are out, maybe someone is sick, right? They have a cold, okay, and they're out sick. You may have to have, do an all hands where you have some people jump in, even folks who aren't necessarily subject matter experts. And do you have enough redundancy in your processes for that to occur? If you don't, these are things you need to consider in contingency planning. It's like, well, what if any one person in your entire operation is out sick randomly, God forbid, for a week or more? Unplanned, right? Obviously. Unplanned, what do you do? How do you get that work done? Do you just let it stall? Well, hopefully not, right? Hopefully you have some redundancy built in. So single points of failure are also a situation. Anywhere where you have a single point of failure, where any one person, doesn't show up or something goes sideways, that your operation comes to a screeching halt, even if it's for a few hours or a day, right? You need some of your non-value added team to be prepared to jump in and help bail water, basically, right? To give you a bit of a visual there. So super important that all hands are prepared and ready to jump in for the customer, right? This needs to be an active, we're not here for just to stay in our comfort zones, as we've talked about in previous videos. We're here to serve our customers, so all hands need to be ready to respond and, to react and respond when things go sideways, right? It could be that you have machinery breakdown. What are you going to do, right? Play the what if scenario out. Obviously, if you get my book, you can get a whole bunch of these tips and more, but what are your what if scenarios? What are the what ifs if a machine goes down, people are out, facilities, yada, 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 all the things around your entire operation. Play the what if game and then see if you have adequate response to those what if situations. Then if you have in-house auditors, have them do a little bit of an exercise and go, okay, this machine went down. What do you do? Right? See if your new employees and your newest team members are, on the ball about, communicating and if your team's responding appropriately, right? This is what we would do. Boom, 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 whatever. All right, folks, just a quick one today. Remember, all hands, everyone's important. Remember, serving the customer is our primary objective. So, this isn't about serving our own comfort zone. This is about us being at the ready to serve customers, right? And each other in that process. All right, folks, hope you're having a fantastic day. Hit that good green domino 3 to 5 times a day or more to uplift, motivate, inspire, and just encourage one another. When you do that, not only are you hoping to transform culture, but you're transforming yourself. Also, remember, though, you can't transform anything on the outside if you're not willing to transform on the inside. Super important. All right, folks, have a fantastic day. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.